Today marks 1328 days sharing lessons I learn and continue to learn with you. I hope that these insights will inspire you, support your dreams, help achieve your goals, and really empower you to become the person that you want to become. Today I was thinking about the really deep topics about personal growth. What are those deep topics? What every single person needs to get deep down. So I will really focus on really looking what kind of topics do we need to consider, reflect on consistent basis, foundational things about personal development, personal growth, about transformation, evolving to becoming the best version of you. Because sometimes we can really focus on one part of personal growth, but we forget other parts. So today we'll share eight things, eight pillars, eight foundational pillars of the personal growth that always that we need to reflect on, understand, really work on, just make sure that we're able to really be well-rounded, well-developed, well-transformed individual. So number one is radical self-awareness. Again, this is one of the most important aspects of personal growth because you're not able to improve what you're not aware of. Exactly with the problems, with skill sets, with beliefs. There's nothing could be improved until aware where you exactly are. Because when you think about really steps and growth, so when you think about skill, that means that you are in a skill measurement like from 1 to 10. So it means that the things that you need to do when you're at level 1 and the things that you need to do when you're at level 8 or 9 is different. For example, if you say that walking or running is a skill set. So the babies are at step 1, they just really being able to stand. So the exercise to be able to develop their walking is different. When I look into Usain Bolt who's running that fast, I mean the skill, the exercises and routines will be different for different level. So that's why awareness is very important in every aspect, in every skill set that we develop. Because we need to understand if you want to develop emotion regulation, when leadership, any kind of skill set, we need to understand where we are. So radical, and really, a lot of times we just don't want to face that we suck at something. We want to really visualize ourselves that we're in a better position than we actually are. So being able to face the parts that might be even hidden, that maybe the parts of you that you are embarrassed, maybe you really need to develop those parts, and we need you to be a radical self-awareness. That means that really we need to remove all the false self. We need to really remove all the core wounds because that's again because a lot of times if we do not fix those wounds, we pretend to project on other people the things that we actually need to finish by ourselves. Number two is a deconstructing the own mind. Deconstructing the mind. That means, of course, we understand that we have some mental loops that constantly happening, and probably have heard that 60 or 80,000 of thoughts we're thinking every single day, and from those 60 to 80 from 60 to 80,000 thoughts, 80-90% of those thoughts are exactly as it was yesterday or a day before. So only 10% thoughts are new ones. We want to increase that, and that means that we need to really deconstruct and understand what are mental loops constantly going. And I think that's it's interesting thing that I learned is that don't believe all the things that you think. Don't believe all the things that you think. I think that even our thoughts sometimes is not validated. And we need to really validate our thoughts, our beliefs, our expectations, understand where that's coming from. And that means that we need to really break those mental loops and really understand where those loops came from in the first place. Because sometimes those beliefs are inherited by people that you trusted, and their beliefs was by inherited by other people, but those beliefs never were validated. It might be that you will be the first person who really actually look into that belief, understand where that belief is coming from, and understand that maybe that belief was never right, and able to break that loop. And I think that is just, again, there's so many things about mindset, growth mindset, fixed mindset, overthinker, the inner critic, the observer, because I think that's when we able to really observe ourselves and really look into clear eye, because sometimes we are our biggest critics. I think we're supposed to be cheerleaders, encouragers, supporters. We're supposed to be critics as well, because of course we need to be critics, but at the same time we want to really have that balance of supporting ourselves, appreciating ourselves, be grateful about ourselves, and sometimes criticizing ourselves in the right way. Because it needs to be really good feedback, positive feedback, constructive feedback. That's exactly where we're supposed to be. Number three, true inner stillness. I think that's being able to be present. How often do you see a flower in the street? How often do you see the cloud going? How often do you look in the shape of the cloud? How often do you hear the wind blowing? Like those kind of simple things, and I have started to realize that sometimes I just do not see those kind of things. And even months goes by, and I realize that I was never truly present. When I go street, I go run, I listen to your podcast, I listen to things, I listen to stuff, but I'm not able to see what's going on in front of me right now. I'm not able to see the people in front of me. I'm not able to see the beautiful things in front of me. But I think true inner stillness is something that we always need to strive for and develop. And that is like what really develops that stillness? What really develops that presence? Because if we are not living in presence, we are reacting, not living. And that's the difference. Because when you live, you are consciously making decisions based on that present moment. And I always say that really love the question, what do I need to do now to achieve that vision? What do I need to do now? Because I think that when we start to really just react, we forget that sometimes we start doing actions that doesn't fully align with our future vision. So we always need to ask, like, what do I need to do to really bring more presence, bring more stillness into my life? And I think that that's again, the stillness is not absence of nothing; it's awareness. Again, I mentioned about how important is awareness and being able to understand how you feel, what's happening right now, and you're able to really respond to things rather than react. And I think that the most important part is that peace is not comfort. Presence brings peace. Peace is that you potentially could go through the biggest challenge, biggest adversity, biggest disappointment, embarrassment. It doesn't matter. You're still able to have peace in mind because you are present. And I think that's again one of the most important things, that peace is not equal comfort. You can potentially do the most uncomfortable things in your life and be peaceful at the same time because you know that this challenge that you're going through is for a different reason, or we have some purpose and meaning with it, and that meaning and purpose brings a lot of peace. Number four is identity deconstruction and reinvention. This is one of the most important personal growth topics because we always need to understand who do you want to be, who you are right now, awareness, who you are, who you want to be, and see that where is a gap. There's a gap. Of course, you want to be a better person. You want to be a better version of you. So that means there's a gap, and that gap will be filled with reinvention, with deconstruction yourself. And again, like it's very hard sometimes to change behaviors, but when you change who you are, how you see yourself, who you want to be, those behaviors will follow. And I think that that's exactly what's a lot of times is missing. People say, oh, I will do this and this and this behavior, but until we are able to see ourselves differently, it's very hard to stick with those behaviors. I think sometimes if behavior doesn't stick, we start to say like maybe I'm able to approach differently because I know that with behaviors you're able to change your identity. Because if you do your behavior with discipline long enough, your identity will start to shift. So there is both ways potential could work, and we need to understand like, how do you operate? Do you like to really approach from identity perspective and then the behaviors will follow, or do you want to really act with discipline at that new behavior, and that behavior will bring that new identity into your life? Because I think both ways work. I tried both, and both of them worked. And I think that both of them could potentially help to really transform and reconstruct, reinvent. Because we need to really understand there's ego depth, there's some roles. Could be like, of course, what's your kind of person you see? The achiever, the father. Like, I know there's a lot of roles that you need to understand. What kind of role do you want to live? And really really have that rebirth with new values and new beliefs. We need new aspirations, the new vision. I think that is always needs to happen. And I think that I love it saying that sometimes you need to die inside to really bring that birth of new identity. Because sometimes it might be that you don't like 70% of your identity. At that moment, of course, what you need to destroy majority of your identity. And it might be that that's what it is, because when I started my personal growth, there's a lot of things that I needed to do, a lot of things I wanted to change. And like, little bit is not that easy, but a little bit I was able to work on things. Number 5 is shadow work and integration. There's a lot of parts that is hidden in ourselves. Sometimes maybe the things that beliefs, maybe some traumas, maybe and wounds. It doesn't matter what it is, but sometimes we don't want to look into the parts that we do not like about ourselves. And I think that is again the worst part of it, is that we deny our parts. We the things that we deny, we things that we don't like, we the things that we hate, we're not able to develop. So that's why it's very, very important to really look into, okay, what parts of myself that I do not like, and maybe I start to really be looking with compassion to yourself and really bring them in, asking how those weaknesses, how those things that I do not like could potentially help me. Because I think that every single weakness potentially could bring some kind of a benefit into your life. Maybe being able to network more and cover. Maybe you're able to really work how your strengths could cover even more. But you need to be aware of it. What exactly do you need to really work on? So shadow work on, maybe there's when you really start acknowledging your in imperfections with kindness, with grace. I think that that's going to be a massive power into your life, because it removes all insecurities. A person without insecurities is a very confident person. So when you're able to acknowledge your uh, things that you need to work on, I think this is again becomes very powerful. Number 6 is reclaiming sovereignty, reclaiming yourself as in a solitude. Sometimes understanding that you need to have your boundaries, you need to have self-respect in action, you need to have radical responsibility, freedom from the outcome, really making sure that you understand that we need to validate ourselves. We need to accept ourselves. So being able to really look into ourselves and say, like, I don't need external validation. What do I need? I need acceptance from myself. I need to validation from myself. And external validation is just extra on top of it, but it's not necessary to really make things happen. I think this is again to really make sure that we understand that we are enough. And we are more than enough to have strong boundaries, to be able to say no. But because I think that when we do not have that strong boundaries, that is very important, we are starting to please people rather than please ourselves. I think it's important to really be liked, but the most important part is to be self-respected. Self-respect is the most key. And when you think that when you show that you will respect yourself, you will be liked because of that as well. Because not every single person is respecting themselves. And when you see the person who is really respecting themselves with the action that they take, I think that person will be always liked in one way or another. Number 7 is existential truths. I think that we sometimes need to understand that we need to really ask those soul level questions, understanding what is transcendence, what is moving, what is spirituality, what is the the questions that really allow us to really go beyond. But when you think about universe, for me is always that aha moment or that wow moment when I think about the beauty, the 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 massiveness of the universe. It's just when you understand how small of a dot you are in the massive universe. I always say that it's a beautiful thing. And understanding that meaning is not found, is created. So that means being able to really go, and I think this is again, misconception, I need to find myself. No, you need to build yourself. You need to create yourself. And I think that is again, this is the existential truths. But sometimes I need to really find my passion. And sometimes you need to build your passion and really, what is that? Maybe suffering. There's a lot of questions that we need to understand. Why there's so many suffering, and really being able to really get into those deep questions, understanding those sometimes suffering questions. Death as a teacher, like all those questions, and everything. We really need to discuss that, because when able to discuss, you become more wise, and you're able to really make better choices while you're living, because you're making better choices. A last one that I think is a very, very, very foundational thing of personal growth is sacred self-discipline. Really being able to really do the things necessary when you don't feel like it. This is what that's exactly is like when motivation weans off, discipline must kick in. And I think that discipline of one something is that really could develop everything. With discipline, you're able to really do behaviors that change your identity. With discipline, you're able to really have the consistency necessary to really get into that compound effect. Because if you never looked into what compound effect means, this is one of the most important personal growth topics, because you need to understand that small actions that you do today will compound after a long time, and it will bring massive results. Because if you double one coin a day in 30 days, it will be $10 million. Exactly the way with when you really multiply yourself, you double yourself, improve yourself little by little. At some point, it will be a massive results. Exactly with good things and bad things, good behaviors, bad behaviors. At some point, it will start to compound, and it will start to compounding. You do not like results, or you love results. It's just understanding where that. And again, when you look into discipline, sometimes we are very disciplined with bad behaviors, even though we do not realize. And sometimes it's really good to reflect on daily actions, because sometimes we don't see that as a discipline, but we are asking like, what do I do daily? What do I do daily? Because that is a discipline. If you do it daily, that means a discipline. And that means when we look into those things and you ask like what that discipline action, like, we can not call it discipline, but like what that action leads to. And ask, do I like the result from that? Even it's like smoking, eating the burgers, eating like shitty food, or or maybe even reading a 15 minutes book. What that action will lead to in 10 to 5 years. And then you realize that maybe that you start to realize that that action potentially has tremendous results, or maybe strategy. So being able to really adjust your actions based on understanding of the future compound effect, I think is a great way of looking at it, because that's again discipline in action. So I hope that you reflect this. What are the personal growth topics that you reflect on consistent basis? Because those are H that I think that's very important to reflect on consistent basis, that we could really make right actions, be more aware of it, and really make our life better every single day. So I hope you choose to win, and see you tomorrow.